Hey there, folks. Welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, movies, art, and culture. And today, it's going to be a little bit of a different episode, a little bit more languid, kind of sprawling. A lot of quality, I have to say. But we probably have one more episode before things really crash into the mid-year. So stay tuned for how things might be changing after that. But enough wasting time. Let's get on the pulse. So before I go any further, if you'd like to like and subscribe, I would be extremely grateful. These sorts of things don't really get shared out as much as you'd like, these sort of compilations. One big reason why the format's going to be changing up after the mid-year, but again, stay tuned for more details around all that. But now onto the matter at hand. There are 8 projects on the docket. Let's start off with, from Protomartyr, Formal Growth in the Desert. I think I came on board with Protomartyr at the wrong point in 2020. They're a solid band, especially lyrically, but that sort of desaturated, downbeat, throwback post-punk was starting to get a little stale for me. So I had zero expectations for this, so color me surprised in a big way when they pivoted towards a western, desert rock-esque sound that kind of reminds me more of early 90s Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. And that textural high from the windswept, hazy guitars and peeling pedal steel, it carries a lot, even through some weirdly abbreviated songs, even if that kind of works thematically for tracks accepting endings to claw oneself free of the specter of death and keep staggering forward, keep living amidst the creaking decay of late capitalism, try to find some wry humor in life amidst the exorcism. I wouldn't call this their catchiest album or most frenetic, but it's easily their most expansive and perversely optimistic. So yeah, I think this is great. Check this out. From Arlo Parks, My Soft Machine. So I felt really bad that I didn't like Arlo Parks' debut as much as everyone else. The lyrical talent, the soft-focused delivery, the tastefully pleasant vibes recalling a lot of 2000s adult alternative and neo-soul. Maybe a bit too polished, missing some kick. It was nice, but not exceptional. So I was intrigued by Arlo Parks expanding her sound, inspired by acts like Fontaines DC, and with a Phoebe Bridgers feature, and well, it's rougher, it's more groove-driven, dabbling in bedroom pop, smoldering R&B, even rock with some mixed success, mostly because Arlo Parks' soft-spoken delivery can be a bit of an awkward fit, not meshing as cleanly with some of the clunky tonal choices. Now, her detail-rich poetry is still the biggest draw, but thematically starts feeling kind of one-dimensional, awkward but direct, yearning young love songs without more pop impact. I don't know, it's got cute, if muted moments. It is more musically interesting. Still not sticking though. From Amaarae, Fountain Baby. I often felt at arm's length from Amaarae's full-length debut, some of it in the tropical vibe unleashed in November of 2020, but her flighty, baby voice singing and lightweight content just did not click like I wanted. Thus, it was a real pleasant surprise that I like Fountain Baby a lot more. Still not a big fan of Amaarae's voice across cooing, auto-tuned warbles, even a punk yell, but this feels way more lush and diverse, with warm guitars, sweeping strings, burbling synths, rich bass lines, and some supple afrobeat percussion, with way catchier melodies to boot. Ironically, a lot of the gorgeous production and opulent horniness would fit well with Janelle Monae's The Age of Pleasure, showing the benefit of letting the songs fully unwinding to cultivate the vibe, but there's also a darker, humid melodrama with some bite and swagger, reminding me of the mid-2000s MIA songs that I actually liked. So yeah, I get the hype this time. This is great. Check it out. From McKinley Dixon, Beloved, Paradise, Jazz. McKinley Dixon's For My Mama and Anyone Who Looked Like Her was my top album of 2021. A dizzying and gorgeous display of dense jazz rap. It felt like I was stumbling onto a magnum opus. Now, this has a lot of the same DNA in its composition and flair, with a leaner package, where outside of the intro quoted from Toni Morrison, an interlude, and a remade song from 2018, there's only 7 other songs here. And yet that might be enough, expanding the angelic metaphors to show ascendancy where actually finding success in the rap hierarchy adds some new terrifying urgency as he tries to cling to grounded humanity, family, and life itself. It's meta-commentary on rap blurred into illusions of poetry, jazz, and anime, stacked against incredibly lush horns and percussion. Just feels a bit like an expanded coda to For My Mama. So yeah, absolutely excellent. Must hear in 2023. Just temper expectations a little bit. From Ben Folds, What Matters Most. I've never actually talked about Ben Folds on any platform before, so for his first album in 8 years, Look, I get the appeal of this sort of relatable piano rock, splitting between wry humor and subtle emotionality, but between the over-polished but underpowered production and rather hit-and-miss vocals, I appreciate more moments than full albums, and that's just as true here. His quirky misadventures with fame have more poignancy and humor than I expected, and the melodic complexity of his piano work has improved by leaps and bounds, but it's still very blandly produced, and for every glancing human observation that feels emotionally insightful, the relationship melodrama feels really flimsy, and his political musings feel embarrassingly basic. I don't know, Ben Folds called this his most generous album in terms of its care and construction, the easy pleasures. Perhaps just a gift with some questionable returns. From the Foo Fighters, but here we are. Look, I want to be charitable. In terms of pure compositional prowess or performance, it's the best album the Foo Fighters have made since Wasting Light. The hooks are mostly lean and sharp. Dave Grohl's singing hasn't sounded this expressive and potent in years. Notes that are lifted from Queens of the Stone Age and The Cure are well executed. And the lyrics hit that painful point of struggling to process death, and they're written to feel universal, but you also know they're devastatingly specific around the deaths of Taylor Hawkins and Dave Grohl's mother. There's so much raw emotion, there's tangible quality here, slammed into an overcompressed mix that leaves in some distractingly tinny highs, the bass crushed and formless, and the cymbals suffocating anything that's not a vocal lead. It literally sounds better the worse your headphones or system is. So while I know these are going to hit live like a ton of bricks, on record this is probably a remaster away from greatness. Just saying. From Janelle Monae, The Age of Pleasure. So remember when Janelle Monae made Screwed on Dirty Computer and said,
"See, everything is sex, except sex, which is power."
This album is the natural outgrowth of that, and if you missed the Afrofuturism metaphor the past decade, the subtext is now strikingly horny text, fusing in synth-funk, afrobeat, reggae, swaggering trap, and horn-inflected classic R&B with some Beyonce-esque bravado. And while the loose, free-flowing, but kind of abbreviated songs don't quite build the cinematic moments of their best albums, Janelle Monae is really damn good at making these languid, sensual vibes endlessly lush and tropical, although the communal flex starts to lose some emotional dimensionality along with some stronger hooks, kind of reminiscent of The Juice Box by Emotional Oranges, at least until the slow burn closers recenter that romance. It's a great summer vibe with terrific organic production and flow, just feels a bit less special. From Niall Horan, The Show. Ugh, look, in the best timeline, Heartbreak Weather wouldn't have dropped in mid-March of 2020. It could have gotten some traction, there'd be an attempt to work one of the most underrated albums of recent memory. But we're not that lucky, so instead of leaning into the slick, groovy soft rock, we got a change in producers, and Niall effectively making a Harry Styles project with blockier percussion, a lot more misty reverb, and more direct, unambiguous songwriting. Now, it's still very good for what that is. Niall's throwback charisma and sincerity translates whenever the tempos ramp up. The production's pretty lush and well balanced. He is better on a bigger theatrical stage than I personally expected, but Niall's messier relationship melodrama, it had a mature swagger that is sorely missed on a lot of the simpler love songs here. It is still good, but it lacks the personality that made him so special as a songwriter. I want to like this more. So yeah, once again, thanks a lot for watching. If you'd like to like and subscribe, I would be extremely grateful. Again, please share this around. These sorts of videos do not get enough outside visibility beyond my audience. I would like to change that a little bit. Beyond that, though, anything else I might be able to do to improve my presentation, and I'm all ears. But if you guys want to get albums on my schedule, starting off back in July, again, things have been on pause for this month as I try to race through all my catch-ups, even though June's been insanely busy, then the link to my Patreon is right over there. As a part of that, you also have the option to access to my Discord in certain tiers, or hell, if you just want to support the channel, that's greatly appreciated too. But again, I'm Mark, you're watching On the Pulse on Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.